So when I was, what was I, 17 maybe or 18, my friends and I went to a Phillies game. We were tailgating. I was the DD. I was supposed to be the DD.
Right.
And my friends we started drinking in the car because we were in the parking lot and there were like mounted police and highway patrol. And we were like afraid to get carded and be taken to jail for an underage. And so they started drinking in the car. And then, like, as people got drunk, they were like, oh, let's get out, let's pop, like, whatever. And we made friends with people and whatever. And then they bring out Jaeger bombs and they're like, you should try this, like, whatever. I'm like, I don't really like liquor. Like, I'm good. They're like, no, you should really just try it. Just try it. Cause I love Red Bull. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, fine.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan and Rachel, here with co-host Rachel and Britt Bernard here as our guest today. Britt, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Really good. We've been really looking forward to chatting with you. We've seen you on other podcasts and stuff, and we wanted to kind of have you share your story on our platforms. So what is your sober date, if you have one? What was your drink or drug of choice? Where you're from? All the basics.
All right. Yeah. So my sober date is 6/26. I'm sorry. So God willing, in June, I'll have 8 years. Yeah, it's crazy. I think
Wow.
about the last 7 or 8 years and I'm like, how did time go that fast? I was a party drinker, low bottom drunk, I guess. And I would do just about anything that anybody handed me. I'd try anything once, kind of partier. But I got really hooked on Adderall and Molly. Those were like the things that kind of took me to my knees. And then in the end, it was just drinking. That's a whole nother story. But yeah. So that's, yeah.
And you're
Alcohol.
from Jersey area?
I'm in Jersey now, but I'm from Philadelphia. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right.
Moved to South
Makes
Jersey. So
It makes
my
sense
son.
with the shirt you're wearing if you want to show it off to the.
Yeah, we can fuck you, go birds.
But
Yeah.
so, I'm sure Rachel, I want to know kind of like what was the early days like before use? What was your family dynamic
Yep.
like? How did you grow up and all that?
Yeah, so I'm from Philly. I grew up in a row home in the Northeast in Philadelphia. I have two little sisters and two parents that are still married today. Like growing up, my family, I can't remember anything too crazy. There was a little bit of partying and stuff like in the early years of my life, but when I was 10, my youngest sister was born and my mom developed a drug addiction herself through postpartum. She had always partied, but she had never really like had a like it wasn't like apparent that there was a problem until my little sister came along and it got pretty bad for a while there. I'd say about 2, maybe 3 years. She was, incapable of taking care of us. Like I can remember her taking us down the way. She would go get drugs. We would wait in the car or we would go in some house and they would like pass a blanket and I could hear the pills. Like I was like 12. So like I knew kind of what was happening. I just didn't know the magnitude or the gravity of the situation until I was, an adult. But so like little things like that. I remember like being in a car for New Year's one year and like watching the fireworks from the car because she was like in a house partying or doing whatever.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. And then when I was, I want to say 12 or 13, she went to rehab in Florida. And that's probably like the first like real traumatic memory that I have. Like taking her to the Philadelphia airport and seeing her get on the plane and go away was like the first
Yeah.
time that I was like, what is happening? Like, am I ever going to see my mom again? I didn't really know what was happening. And
That's a
then
tough
she got
age to see
sober.
that too.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, it was like I knew what was happening, but I also didn't really understand the full like scope of what was happening or if she was going to come back.
Right.
I didn't know.
I
Thankfully,
get
she
it.
did come back and she's been sober ever since. So my mom's been sober
That's
for
awesome.
Yeah.
22 years now, I think. Yeah.
Good for her. That's such an awesome,
Yeah,
like,
thank God.
comeback
Thank
story.
God. And I
Yeah.
could I could relate to that story because my mother was an addict. She passed away of an overdose when I was 16. So I didn't get to see my mom get sober. So wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing to hear that your mom got sober for 22 years, you
Yeah,
said? Wow.
it shaped how I looked at recovery because I saw her get sober. I saw her help other women get sober. Right? Like I seen her do all these things. I've been to AA meetings. I went to every single anniversary. So when it was time for me to finally get sober, I already knew what to do. I had a phone full of phone numbers of women from AA. Like I kind of had an advantage,
Right.
honestly. And I don't say that, to brag or boast, but like I say that because I'm
Yeah.
grateful. Like, thank God that was how it was set up. Cause if it wasn't, I don't think that I'd be sitting here having this chat with you guys.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
exactly.
That
Did you
makes
feel
sense.
yeah,
like at that age, not having your mother around, like, did you feel like you were kind of like a replacement parent for your little sisters and stuff, like your responsibilities?
for sure. I was cooking dinner. I was changing diapers. I was doing all those things. Actually just sent my youngest sister, a video from TikTok yesterday of like, it was like I have a first child, but like my sibling's my firstborn because like I took care of her in those formative years.
Yeah.
And then as my mom got sober, she was going to a lot of meetings. So Bailey would be with me a lot of the time. I had my license by the time she was like 4 or 5. So I would just take her with me to the mall, take her with me to the movies, whatever. But yeah, I definitely think that I took on a lot of those roles. And my mom admits that today. She's been sober long enough that it's
I'm
something
sure
we
it
laugh
made you
about
two
now,
really close too, because like my sister and
for
I was
sure.
like 5 years apart and stuff, but we went through a lot together, and I caught myself, her even when in my later years when I got my own apartment, she was still in high school. She didn't want to be at home because it was so toxic, and she'd just stay at my house, and it just made us have a
Yeah.
closer relationship. And may she
Yeah.
rest in
Yep.
peace. She passed away like 10 years after that, but like
I'm sorry.
she of an overdose as well. So it's like it's crazy
Yeah.
how things catch up. But it did, like, those early years feeling like kind of like a parental figure or whatever made us so close though, and just made me,
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does. I mean, Bailey's downstairs watching my son right now so that I could do this. So, like, she stays actually in this is our guest room. She stays here a lot. And, you know, we definitely have a very close relationship because of the time that we spent together, you
Wow.
know?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm praying for that to come into my life. Unfortunately, my sister and I'm the oldest too. And I protected my sister through a lot of things during childhood because my mother was always strung out. And unfortunately, my addiction caused so much friction. We're still
Yeah.
healing and going on 2 years. We don't see eye to eye in a lot of things, but I'm hoping one day. I'm hoping one day.
I hope so. My middle sister
We'll see.
didn't speak to me for the first 3 years that I was sober. Like, not a
Mm,
word. When I called her to tell her I was pregnant with my son, she hung up on me. I sent her money to, like, repay her for money I stole, and she sent it back. Like, when I tell you this girl did not want anything to do with me at all, and now she's helping me fundraise for the Eagles Autism Foundation for my son. Like, it's taken a long time to get there, but, like, we're there,
yeah,
you know? So
that's all.
I hope that you guys get there too, because it's hard. I
Yeah, that
know
gives
that
me
that's hard.
hope. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
things do take
definitely
time.
is. And then I'm gonna jump into going back to you though. When your mom got on that plane and you're the oldest, you obviously had so many emotions going through your body. Did you start coping with drugs and drinking then, or were you sober throughout the time your mom was gone?
So my first drug of choice was self-harm. I would cut
Ugh.
myself. And that started probably like fourth or fifth grade, like 10, 11, 12 years old, like right in the height of her addiction. And I hid it pretty well. So I don't think anybody really knew what was going on. And I didn't really understand it. Like it started because I went to a Catholic school and the girls all started using thumbtacks to like carve boys' initials into their skin.
Yes,
And
I
I
remember
did that
yeah,
that.
too when I was that age, and I went to a Catholic
what
school, and I
Oh
was
was
that?
God,
carving
I don't know why
wow.
we did that.
the Nike
What was
swoosh
that?
into my
Oh
hand.
my God.
Such a weird
Oh,
fucking thing.
I
I
thought I was
have
the
But
only one that
that's
did
what
nostalgia
that.
memories.
started it.
Wow.
That's what started self-harm for me. I did that and I was like, "Oh wow, that like took my mind off of whatever's going on at home," right? So I started to use that and then it wasn't until I was probably like 13 I tried drugs and alcohol for the first time. And it was actually, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Corosine and cough and cold. Do you remember those? The triple
Like,
C's?
Medication? Yes.
yeah, like
Triple C's,
cough
yes.
syrup.
Mhm.
Yes. Yep. So that was my first introduction into like getting high. And
Yeah.
I loved it. And I did that every weekend for a very long time.
You guys just drink straight out of the bottle, or do you like mix it? Like,
It was like pills. You would like take a whole sleeve of fucking cough pills
jeez.
and just trip. It was wild. It
It's
was
not
wild.
funny,
I
I'm
didn't
laughing
even
because it's
realize
so fucking crazy. Like,
it's so.
it's
I
true.
don't even know who thought of that or like why I was like, yeah, I'll try that, sure.
Me too.
But
Yeah.
it was with my cousin, and she was like, everyone's doing this thing, and I was like, okay. I was
Okay.
afraid to like try weed. I was afraid to drink because of my mom, but I was like, this thing's like a medicine, so it's
The over
fine.
the counter
Uh,
stuff, why not?
It happened
What's
with the
medicine?
Adderall too. Like I tried Adderall because it was a prescription medication, and I was like, oh, I don't have to get that off the street. And then eventually it led to Molly, right? Like that's
Mm.
how the disease progressed for me. It was like
Yeah,
the
it's all a
delusion in
gateway
my
somehow.
brain. Yeah, the delusion fed more delusion, and it just,
So
Fact.
how did the cough medicine stuff like progress into like marijuana and drinking?
I hung out with that same cousin a lot, and I was around people that were drinking and stuff. And eventually I don't even remember like the first time I drank. I do remember the first time I got drunk, but I don't remember the first time I like picked up a drink. Like I can't remember. I want to say it was probably in, what was it? Summers Point, New Jersey was probably the first time I drank with my cousins that were a little bit older than me. They were like 4 years older. They were in high school. I was in like maybe ninth grade or whatever. They were seniors. And um, I think they were making like Smirnoff like drinks. And like I tried one. And I think that was like the first time I ever like drank. But the first time I ever got drunk was like at a keg in Philly with all my friends from high school. Like that was the first time I ever really got drunk, and I loved it. And then I was like, I want to do this all the time. And by my senior year of high school, I was showing up to class drunk. I was driving to school like drunk from the night before, like just cutting class to get drunk, like driving to there was a drive-through beer distributor in Philly that if you had a car, they would serve you alcohol. So I had
Yeah.
my license from the time I was 16. So I would get alcohol for me and all my friends. I would just drive through the beer distributor and get a keg and meet everyone in the wood. Like, so it was just like this, like, you know, kind of like being part of, right? Like I was needed for something, I was included in it. It was fun. And it didn't really get crazy until I was like in college. Like I think it was just like normal, like everyone has the
Yeah.
keg in the woods, and that's how it starts for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you think nothing of it because everybody's doing it. It's just part of growing up, and you're just getting exposed to social situations. But
Right.
then you don't realize it's so progressive for us actual alcoholics that it just slowly getting worse, and we don't even realize it.
That's how I try
Yeah.
to explain it to people that don't understand addiction. I'm like, do you realize that I wasn't the only one going to the keg in the woods. Like I was with 50 other kids, but 10 of us turned out to be drug addicts and alcoholics, and the other 40 are CEOs somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that's how it works. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I envy those
Definitely.
people that could just drink normally, even people
Same.
today that I see drink normally. I'm like, God, I wish I could do that, but I can't. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and look at
Yeah.
me, I
Our
ended up
minds
being
don't
an
work like
alcoholic for
that.
18 years. Yeah.
Yeah, our minds don't work like that. It's like fun, and then you're gonna be, even if you do have that one time, you're gonna be thinking about having another one. Like once that dopamine hit's gone, you're gonna be thinking about it. Even if you don't, you're gonna be thinking about it because we're addicts.
100%.
So
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
100%.
not worth it.
So
Who
when
wants to go through that? So when did it go ahead? Sorry.
no, I think you got the same question I was going to ask.
When did it progress into a daily thing and it starting to harm your life? I don't know if that was the same question you were gonna ask, but yeah.
College is when it started so like by senior year, I was drinking probably like Thursday through Sunday or whatever. And then when I got to college, I went to Temple University in Philly, and I lived close enough to home that I could still like party with my friends, but I also was like at a party school. You know what I mean? Um, It started like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then
Yeah.
it was like, oh well, there was this bar that had like White Girl Wednesdays, and the beers were like $1. So like we would go to the White Girl
White Girl
Wednesday, like
Wednesdays.
yeah, it was a whole the drought horse at Temple. Shout out.
So crazy.
There was always like a theme for the night of the week, like at the bars on
Yeah.
campus. Me and my friends had fake IDs. We would go to the bars. We would do frat parties. There was always an excuse to drink. It was someone's birthday. It was this. It was that. And like slowly but surely, I stopped going to class. And at one point, one of my roommates, I think, introduced me to Adderall, and they were like, "It'll help you write this paper, like whatever." And the first time I took it, I took like half of a half because I was terrified because I was like, I can't do drugs. Like my mom put drugs up her nose. I can't do that. You know what I mean? And it did nothing because it was like a half of a 10 or something. Like it wasn't a lot of that. So it did nothing.
Yeah,
And
you didn't know.
I was like, okay, I could do that again. And the next time it was like a half of a half. Like, you know what I mean? And it slowly was like, by the end, I ended up in the psych ward by the end of my run with Adderall. It was not a fun
First time I tried
experience.
it in
Yeah.
college, I just my buddy had severe ADHD and was prescribed it. And he actually functioned fine on it because he was prescribed it and took it the right way. But one time before we went out to eat Chinese food or something, he hands me one and I thought nothing of it. I was like, whatever, it's just a drug. It's not going to do anything for me. By the time we were halfway through our meal, I remember I was so focused and just aware of everything around me. And I remember I cleaned my apartment like there was no tomorrow that night and like stayed up for 2 days. And I was
Would
like,
sit like this with my hair and pick the split ends off my hair individually for like hours and just get like stuck there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like me and my friend Anne would do it together. We worked at a kennel together, and we would rage clean the kennel on Adderall, and then we would go to her house. Now her mom is sober, and God bless her mom.
Rage
Uh,
clean.
Rage
we
clean. I
would
started.
we
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, we would like ADHD hyper focus, rage clean on the Adderall, the whole kennel. And then we would go to Angie's house and we would watch Shameless. And we would be like, we're going to go to the bar tonight. We're going to go to the bar. And we would both end up sitting like this, like picking our split ends for hours.
Jeez.
And then it would be like 3
That's
a.m.
fun.
and we'd be like, oh, guess we're not going out tonight.
Guess
Like
we're not
just
going out.
stupid shit. Like
I know.
just dumb.
I was
Yeah.
prescribed it
Yeah.
for like 7 years and stopped taking it like 3 years ago. And the crash was tough, but I realized at the end, now that I look back at it, I was abusing it and drinking on it.
Yeah.
Taking a lot one day and not taking it much on Sundays because
Right.
I was recovering. So yeah,
Yeah.
No.
it was a problem.
I
So
abused
that
it
stuff's
before I
dangerous.
knew I actually like had ADHD. I found out I have severe ADHD in sobriety. So I won't
That's
take
me too.
Adderall.
Yeah.
I won't take Adderall now because I abused it. I'm not trying to chance that. So I'm raw dogging ADHD.
That's how I am too.
We're
Yeah,
all
raw dogging
ADHD.
it. Yup, same.
Like
We
I was just
are.
on the phone with my dad like a
hard.
half hour before this started, and he was watching my Hopeaholics episode, and he's like, it was great, but the only thing I noticed is that you're just leaning back and forth and you're fidgety. I'm like, I can't sit still, okay? I'm not on my meds, you know. I'm just like,
Yeah.
but at the
Trying.
same
It's
time,
hard.
it makes us productive, I think. But we use it the right
It
way now.
definitely does when you channel it the right way and you find systems that work for like that's what I've had to do. I've had to find like natural systems like sticky notes and all these
Yeah.
things like timers on my phone, things to like
Yep.
help me manage it naturally because I'm
Yep.
terrified to take any kind of stimulant, you know?
Exactly. Same.
I get it.
But as long as you channel it in the
So
right direction, sober, it gets better. So.
Yeah, for sure.
it gets
But
better.
it explains a lot because I was taking a lot of it and I needed a lot of it to feel the same high as my friends. Now it makes sense. I was self-medicating,
Yep.
but back
Yeah.
then I didn't know that.
Start off with 10
Yeah.
milligrams, and next thing you know, it's like 80 milligrams, and you're
30,
feeling the
yeah,
same as
and then another, and you're snorting it. I mean, I was doing it to
Yeah.
stay awake with an ex so I could keep drinking. It wasn't even to focus or do papers, which is, I don't know, I guess I feel like that's kind of worse. I wasn't doing it to be productive. I was
No,
actually sitting in a garage like
Yeah.
for
I feel like
hours.
that makes a lot of sense though because Adderall helped me not get sick. when I was drinking. So, like,
Yeah.
the first time I took it and drank with it, I realized I didn't get the spins. I didn't want to throw up. And I was like,
Mm,
oh, okay. And that's kind
Yeah.
of how, like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, I want to keep doing this thing because I like to drink, but I don't
Yep.
like to be sick.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then to go to sleep, I'd
That
pop
makes a
a
lot of
Xanax.
sense.
So it was like,
Right.
Up and down, up and down. Yeah.
I thought I had a
Yeah.
whole system going.
Yeah.
Whatever. We all did. So now it's out of
Craziness.
control for you. Did you end up finishing college and you're a sports fan? Tell us about football games.
Yeah. I heard there's a big football game story we don't know about.
Yes,
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have a couple of those.
unfortunately.
And it's so funny because people online will like see the viral clips of like, oh, she was banned from the link or she whatever. And they're like, oh, that's just a normal day for a Philly fan. And I'm like, joke's on you guys, because that's not like that's not normal behavior, but okay. Yeah. So when I was what was I, 17 maybe or 18, my friends and I went to a Phillies game. We were tailgating. I was the DD, I was supposed to be the DD.
Right.
And my friends we started drinking in the car because we were in the parking lot and there were like mounted police and highway patrol and we were like afraid to get carded and be taken to jail for an underage. And so they started drinking in the car. And then like as people got drunk, they were like, "Oh, let's get out, let's pop like whatever." And we made friends with people and whatever. And then they bring out Jaeger bombs and they're like, you should try this, like whatever. I'm like, I don't really like liquor. Like, I'm good. They're like, no, you should really just try it. Just try it. Cause I love Red Bull. And
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, fine, I'll try it. Well, one turned to, I don't know, 10. And then by the time we got into the game, I don't even remember walking in. I just remember they handed out like rally tails for the
Mhm.
game. And we got to the seat and I sat in my seat with the rally tail over my face. Couldn't tell you who we were playing. Like I still to this day don't know who we were playing against, what time the game was. Like I don't know any of that. And we're sitting in the seats and the stadium starts to spin. And I look at my girlfriend and I'm like, I'm going to throw up. And she's like, let's go to the bathroom. So we run to the bathroom and all I remember is this poor mom running towards me. She has her like, probably her 6-year-old, like my 6-year-old downstairs. And I
Huh.
think about myself in this situation
Yeah.
and I'm like, I would beat someone's ass. Like she should have thrown me down the steps, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I see her like walking towards me and I cannot keep it in and I just vomit. And she like scoops her kid and like throws him behind her back. I don't even know like how we got away. I don't know. I know we went to the bathroom and then the next thing I remember is um my friend's sister coming to get my car and her boyfriend driving some of us home in his car and her driving my car back to my house. And I remember walking in the door and my dad's sitting in his chair and he's watching the news and he's like, "How was the game?" And I was like, "Great." And like booked it up the steps because I didn't want to, he knew I drove. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to have that conversation. And he's like, "Who won?" And I just remember yelling, "The Phillies." I didn't fucking
Oh,
know who
shoot.
won. You know what I
Did you?
mean?
When?
I don't know. Thankfully, my
You never
dad's
found
not
out?
really like an no, I don't. I still don't know to this day who won that game. I
Should
could
be
go
looking
back in
up.
my memories on
Yeah.
Facebook and like look up the game, but thankfully my dad's not a huge sports fan, so he didn't know one way or the other. Like he would have believed whatever I said.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was the first major sports related issue. And then the second was a Temple football game at the link. So it wasn't even an Eagles game, it was a Temple game. And same kind of thing. Like my friends and I took the subway down at like 5 a.m. We were going to tailgate. We got trashed. Then we were out the night before, woke up at 5 a.m., took the subway, drank on the subway. So like all things considered, I had probably alcohol poisoning, right? Um,
Right.
we get there and by like the second quarter, I was so drunk that we're standing in the concession hallway or whatever. And my girlfriend Tara runs up to me and she does like one of these and like tries to chest bump me. And I was
I do
so
know.
drunk that when she chest bumped me, I just like boom, fell over. And she's like,
Okay. I thought you were gonna say
we
throw
need to
up.
go to the she's like, we need to go to the bathroom, make sure like you're all right. So we go in the bathroom. We're in like the end stall. I'm literally minding my business. Like, we're not bothering anybody. I'm just like trying to puke and rally. You know what I mean? Some fucker that's
Yeah.
in the bathroom calls 911 from inside the stadium and says there's people in the bathroom throwing up. So the police show up to the stall and knock on the
Jeez.
stall. And, then I'm like, I knew the cops were there. My dad was a Philly cop. So I'm like, I'm trying to act all sober. I open the door. I'm like, hi, officer. Like, what's the problem? And he's like, how old are you? And I answered honestly, I think I was like 19 or 20 maybe at the time. And he was like, so you're not old enough to be intoxicated the way you are. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess. And he's like, you have two options. You can go to the medical amnesty tent or you can leave. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to leave because what the fuck's a medical? I didn't know anything about that at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll
Yeah.
just leave. Well, then I blurt out, like, my dad's a Philly cop. And he's like, call your dad on the phone right now. And I said, okay. So I call my dad and I'm like, Dad, I'm getting kicked out of the lane. He's like, what the fuck? So then he talks to the cop. The cop takes all my information, my name, my date of birth, everything, whatever. And I get kicked out. And they're like, and you're not allowed back. I thought that was like a joke. I didn't know anything about like the NFL fan code of conduct or anything like that. But when you get ejected from a stadium, the NFL, because it's an NFL stadium, even though wasn't an NFL game, the NFL sends you a letter and says that you're not allowed back in any NFL stadium until you do X, Y, and Z. And it's like you have to take a course, you have to pay money, you have to do, or I think it expires like after like 12 years or something like that. Like there's like a time limit on it. Yeah, it's people like think that it's hard. I'm like, I didn't do anything like insane. Like I was just drunk in public and they kicked me out. Like you can get kicked out for anything, really. But
Damn.
I wish that story was a little bit cooler. It's not, but
Yeah, I
it's
think it's
still
Not
interesting.
that one. That one was sad. It made me sad. Are you able to go back yet, or are you banned for life?
thankfully I have been back. That
Woohoo.
happened probably like 15 years ago. So I did
Okay.
see the NFC championship last year in person at the link, and we
Oh
are
yeah.
super involved with Eagles Autism. So I do go to the link for a lot of events with them. I don't know if any of them have ever seen any of these videos. I always get so nervous that they're going to be like, you're not allowed back here. I'm like, I'm
Oh,
a
yeah.
changed human, you know? I
They Google.
promise they could, and it probably would pop up, but,
No,
what are you
you're
going to
telling your story. Maybe the person's in recovery, ironically, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, my heart." You never know.
Yes. Yeah. Let her stay.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
why
we
they
all
have
have
a
a
southern
story.
accent. I don't know why they had a southern accent.
I was like, where'd
So
that come from?
I don't know. I'm in Florida. So you get banned from a stadium. You have this incident in front of a child and a mother. What's going through your head in your daily life like now after these two things happen?
I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I don't think I even really thought twice about any of it. Like, it wasn't until I was like stealing money from my family and like not being able to pay my bills that I realized, hey, this thing might be a problem. You know what I mean? Like no amount of like car accidents, run-ins with the police, like, and I say this very honestly when I tell my story on podcasts, like my dad being a police officer was a huge privilege to me as a drug addict growing up. Like, and I don't say that because I think that it's
I get
right,
that.
but that's what it was. Like, I got out of a lot of trouble. Kegs in the woods, like other kids would get written up and get, underages, and I would get sent home. Like, I was pulled over for a DUI and the cop followed me home instead of taking my car. You know what I mean? Like, and giving me a DUI. So there
So you
are a
dodged a
lot of
lot of bullets.
yes, there's a lot of consequences that I missed. And I think it fed the delusion for a long time because I was like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm not on the street with like a brown paper bag. I had this like image of a drug addict or an alcoholic in my head, and I
Yeah.
didn't fit that image. So it couldn't possibly be me, was my mindset. And a lot of the things in my life fed into that mindset and kept me sick for a really long time, you know? And
Mhm.
I'm grateful now like looking back, hindsight is 2020. Like I'm grateful that's the way things played out because I wouldn't be where I am today. Like everything had to happen the way it did for me to be sitting here in the life that I live today. But at the same time, like I don't think it was always the best the
When
way
did
for
when
things
did
to
you
go.
realize the progression went from like I'm partying too hard, I'm not that homeless person on a corner drinking out of a bag. Like when did it progress into like, hey, I'm really reliant on this stuff. Like I'm taking this way too far to the point where
Yeah.
you're like, I need to start looking at quitting.
And Molly too.
My story's kind of crazy because I had like these pockets of time where I was hooked on Adderall and Molly. And then I got into an abusive relationship with a man who would not allow me to do drugs. And then he went to rehab himself and he got sober. Well, he got dry. Let's say that because he
Hmm.
wasn't in
Yeah.
recovery, you know. But he got dry and he was resentful of the fact that I could still drink because he couldn't tell me that I couldn't drink because that's legal. But he could like force me not to do drugs because those were illegal and he wanted to be a police officer, it was whole thing. But every time I would drink, he would start a fight. He would get mad, obviously, like he felt some kind of way that he wasn't drinking and I was, and it caused a lot of issues in our relationship. He was abusive outside of that anyway, but, for the duration of our relationship, I think we were together like 3 or 4 years, and I could count on like 2 hands how many times I actually drank because he was so controlling over the fact that, like, he didn't want me going to the bars, so I wasn't allowed to go to the bars because if I went to a bar, I was gonna fuck some guy. Like, that's the way he thought, whatever. So the only time I was really allowed to drink was, like, family parties and stuff. Um, so for the duration of our relationship from like early 2015 to the end of or the beginning of 2018, I didn't drink really, like not a whole lot. When we broke
Mhm.
up though, when I finally was like, I've had enough, I cannot do this anymore,
Hmm.
whatever. He actually cheated on me the night the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018, which the Super Bowl last year really made up for that for
That when
me.
Nick Foles was playing or something.
Yeah, when
2018.
Nick Foles
Yeah,
won, and that was like
against
kind
my
of my
team,
final straw. What?
against the Patriots.
Yes, when
Wow.
It was
BG
still
sacks
blackout.
Tom Brady. Yes,
I
ma'am.
caused actually a physical altercation that night for losing.
Listen, I tried to fight many people the day of the Super Bowl parade, so you were not alone back then, okay?
Thank
I
you.
actually fought my cousin on Broad Street during the
Yeah,
Super Bowl parade.
Jeez.
Yeah.
that
I
seems
was
so
just a mess.
patriotic.
Like I was either crying, dancing on a table, or trying to fight somebody. Like there was no
That's me.
That sounds a lot like Ratchet Rachel.
Yes, Ratchet Rachel for sure. I used to fight everybody. I was on top of bars or I was crying hysterically. It was one of the three.
yeah. Yeah. It was like that's
So
just who
fucking
I was.
annoying.
But when we broke up in February of 2018, like off to the races because I had been suppressing it for so long that I was just at the bar every single night. And I think I was unemployed at the time, so like I didn't really have money. I started to steal from my mom, I started to steal from my dad. I stole my sister's graduation money and then helped her look for it. And that's when I was like,
Hmm.
might
I'm
be
guilty of
a
shit like
problem.
that.
And then was
Yep.
Molly in the mix at that time?
No, I wasn't really doing drugs. I mean, I was smoking weed pretty much every day, but like I really wasn't. I would take stuff here and there during that time, but I wasn't like hooked on anything
Yeah.
because we broke up like the week of the Super Bowl. So it was like what, the second week of February. By June of 2018, I was sober. So like there was a very little window where it was like it
Yeah.
progressed very quickly. You know what I mean? At the
Yeah.
end for me. And I didn't really need drugs to make a mess of my life. Like I was, like I said, dabbling here and there, but just with the alcohol alone, like I was not showing up to things. I remember like my parents planned like an Easter egg hunt or something that year, and I swore up and down that I was going to show up. And then I showed up at like 4 p.m. and they were like, "What the fuck is wrong with
Yeah.
you?"
Yeah.
Just like all these like consequences started showing up. And I
Yeah.
was questioned about money that was missing. I was questioned about certain things and I had no answers. I didn't know how to answer them. Like my dad, aside from being a police officer, he had his own business and I worked for him on and off at the time. So I had a business card, like his credit card or whatever. And
Mhm.
I would tap Mac at the bar. I would take money out from his credit card or, bank account, whatever it was, and use that to drink. And I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Like I think back and I'm like, did I just think that he was like not going to notice? I don't
Hmm.
know if I didn't
Yeah.
realize how much money I was taking out or if I just thought he was stupid. I don't know. But he caught on pretty quick. He printed out a bank statement. He confronted me with it and he was like, "How much money did you use on the, company card this month or whatever?" And I was like, "Oh, I went to Wawa a couple times, like my bad." And he said, "Try again." And he pulled out like the statement with all of the
Dang.
transactions at the bar. And I was like, and at the time, like all I could think to do was manipulate. Like that
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
started crying. I was like, "Brianna's not talking to me." Meanwhile, I stole from Brianna. That's why she's not talking to me.
Fuck.
So I made him feel bad for me. Meanwhile, you're confronting me about stealing from you, and I'm
You're
crying.
asking for empathy.
Right. Right. Like just like insanity.
Oh,
But that
Yeah.
is the day that I got sober. The day that he
Wow.
confronted me. I
wow.
left, I got high. And for the first time, like drugs and alcohol, like didn't stop what was going on up here. It just was that conversation was like on a loop for me and I couldn't get it to stop. And I went, I got in my car, I called my best friend and I said, "I think I need to get sober." And she was like, "Okay." And then I called my dad and I said, "I think you need to send me to rehab." And he said, "Is that where the money went?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, come home, we'll figure it out." And that's what happened. Like the next day, I got up. They helped me figure out how I was going to pay my bills, how I was going to get a job. My mom took me to my first AA meeting, and like I've been
Mm.
sober ever since then.
Wow. Did you physically go into like a
Awesome.
live-in rehab?
I didn't. I got sober on my mom's couch.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you go through withdrawals and all that, or what was that like?
I drove my mom crazy. My mom gets up for work at like 4 a.m. and I would be sitting on the couch and be like, "When am I going to eat? When am I going to sleep?" I like just crying to her. And she's like, "Just go to a fucking meeting." Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like,
Yeah.
"Just call somebody, go do something."
Okay. Yeah.
But I listened to her for probably the first time in my life. And, here all this time later, it's paid off. So I'm
Right.
grateful that it happened the way it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
realized everything was like getting worse as you were realizing you're hurting people around you, stealing,
Mhm.
drinking a lot more than you should, dabbling in drugs here and there. And that's kind of when you had that kind of epiphany after that conversation with your dad. And that's where you kind of switched.
Yeah, I think I kind of realized that I couldn't run from the truth anymore, right? Because I feel like as drug
Yeah.
addicts and alcoholics, like we don't want to look in the mirror and look at ourselves and what we've actually done and the destruction we've caused. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't like push it away or excuse it. It was just like hitting me in the face and I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything but own up to it and be vulnerable. And for me, that was really like a tough thing to do. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. Like looking yourself in the mirror and going into the deepest, darkest, dirtiest corners of your life. It's not easy to do that. It feels embarrassing. It feels shameful, like, right? Shame, guilt, remorse, all those emotions come up when you have to like go back into your past and look at that stuff. But it's necessary to get the life that you want, the sober life that you know what I mean? Like it's so necessary.
Yeah.
Shine a light in all those little corners and crevices and make sure that you've addressed every single thing from your past. I don't feel like I have to look over
Yes.
my shoulder anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing. For a long time, I was constantly worried about who I was going to run into where and do I owe this one money or did I beat that one up or did I like just craziness like
Hmm.
unnecessary. Now I don't have to live like that.
Yeah. Who do I have to apologize to?
Amen to that. Did I beat you
Right.
up last night? I am so glad I don't have to send those messages. Did I physically hit you last night or did I curse you out? Yeah,
I
I don't miss that
Dude,
at all.
my aunt and my cousin during the Super Bowl parade, I don't even remember what I got mad at her for, but I just like mugged her. Like I just grabbed her
That
face
was
and
my
just
move.
shrugged her.
That was my
And
move.
she,
I used to mush
rightfully so,
people.
she started swinging back. So we just started to brawl. And then her mom and her didn't want to have a relationship with me after that. And my cousin's brother, so my cousin got into a motorcycle accident like a month after that. And he was like in the
Shit.
ICU and stuff. And then I felt like I couldn't go visit. Like it was just like all these negative, like constantly worried about like who's gonna be there and what do I have to talk to them about and just
Yeah.
negative feelings that just didn't feel good. Uh,
No,
Exactly.
yeah. I agree.
Always running, always
Always.
from someone.
Yes.
I know.
Now, I have a question considering, and I'll say it right now on the episode, that I'm a huge fan of all of you girls. Tell us about the Sober Girl group chat and all of you. I'm a huge fan of Rachel, Abby. We're going to have Amanda on the
They're all
show.
great. That's great. They're all great.
Hmm. Yes, you all
That
are.
whole thing is insane. We all met on the internet. It's like, people share about recovering out loud is so important because not only
Yep.
does it give other people hope, but it also connects you to a community. Like sometimes being a drug addict and alcoholic can feel isolating and lonely. And, the Sober Girls group chat, the reason we like started it, like named it and made a Facebook page to like, obviously, like we have each other's phone numbers, right? Like we text and we have a group chat, and that's kind of how the name started. But we can't
Hmm.
add all of Rachel's followers and all of Gabby's followers, and all of my like we can't add everyone into our actual phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we started the Facebook page to kind of give a way for us to connect with our audience that already watches what we do. And just shine a little hope for women out there. Like it's hard to be a woman and be in recovery. And not that it's not hard for men, but I just think there's a different element to it when you're a woman. Like there's, you know, sex conduct and men can be a little
Yes.
predatory in meetings and stuff like that. Like it just,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah.
Yes.
And so just giving women like an outlet to connect with us and each other to maybe form their own group chats, like that's the goal is for them to connect with each other and find what we've found in each other in themselves, because
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know how I lived life before connecting with all of them in the way that we have. Like
Yeah.
am constantly connected to them. We vent about day-to-day stuff. Like, I get a flat tire and I send a picture to the group chat and I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like that's just how we all interact with each other. And it's so
Yeah.
helpful
Just
to have
automatic support.
people, yeah, that
Yeah.
are also working a program of recovery and
Yeah.
understand what it's like to like live sober through life's fucking chaos,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's not easy all the time.
Great.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, yeah. I'm a huge fan of literally all of you
Love
individually.
that. Thank you.
In early sobriety, or not even when I was still actively isolating and drinking, I would come across Rachel's page and a few of you guys page. Is that proper English? But
Pages.
Rachel, she saved my life, and I'm going to say it on this episode. She saved my life. I came across her positive affirmations and it made me laugh. And instead of going and taking those extra pills and drinking, I
Yeah.
decided not to. So I continued to follow her and then I became sober and then I saw all of you guys and I'm just like, wow, I want to be a podcaster one day. And then just here we are, right?
Look at you
Divine
now.
intervention. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that
So
for
it's just
you.
crazy.
But that's why
I'm
it's
so
so
happy to have
important to
you
do
on
stuff
the
like
show.
this.
The
Yes.
power of community,
Yes.
Yeah, just
I'm
Hmm.
like one
grateful you
person.
guys asked me to be on the show.
Yeah.
I we were on a podcast yesterday all together, all 9 of us, and
I saw.
I think Abby said something like, this is the stuff for us that's like so important. Like, fuck the brand deals, fuck like all of this opportunities that come our way from posting online. Like, being of service to other people in recovery is like what we want to do. Like
Changing lives. Just, yeah.
that's the
Yes.
most important part. Is like giving someone else hope, because we know what it's like to be in that deep dark hole somewhere,
Yeah.
afraid to not drink, because you don't know what's
Exactly.
going to happen if you know what's going to happen if you drink. You don't know what's going to happen if you don't drink. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the fear of the unknown is so scary. And so just being able to show like you can laugh, you can have fun, you can talk about fucking farts on the internet and your ass and whatever
Yeah.
else Rachel talks about.
Oh God, Rachel,
Rachel's
yeah.
definitely our crazy queen. She is hilarious. And people ask me in my real life all the time, like, are they really like what they're like online? I'm like, every single one of them is like not only the same, but like better, honestly, in
I
person.
bet. I bet. Yeah.
No, but it's like you hear one thing somebody says on a podcast or on just a clip on Instagram and it resonates with the right person. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I put that out there for fun, but it actually like hits somebody really hard and they can relate to it. And like today, Rachel and I got a message from somebody who's just had a newborn and he saw our episode we released today, who's
Yes.
a father of a newborn. He's like, I could really relate to that. I love that because being a new father in sobriety, you know, it's different, you know, and it's
Yeah.
a lot of, so it's
Yeah,
just
and he's
cool that, you know, people
anxious.
can relate to
Yeah.
everything. So,
That's why everyone's
Yeah.
story is important, because everybody experiences sobriety differently. And like, I remember when I first got sober, somebody in a meeting telling me, like, find the similarities, not the differences, like in someone's story, because you can be helped by, I mean, I think the first person that ever helped me, like their story, I was like, whoa. It was a woman who like I normally wouldn't talk to, but the way she spoke and the way she delivered her message, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And it was the first time it was like ever like, I don't know, I belong here, I guess. Cause I when I got sober, I wasn't really sure I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. And I'm being
Yeah.
honest, when I got sober, I just didn't want to deal with the consequences of my drinking anymore. You know, I didn't really want to be sober. I just didn't want to deal with getting in trouble for stealing money. And, you know, a few months in, I hear this woman speak, and I think she like owned a hair salon, which like I didn't really have anything in common with her, like lifestyle wise, but the way that she spoke and told her story was so impactful to me that I was like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. And, you
Uh-huh.
know, I mean, thank God that we don't all
Yeah.
experience it the same exact way, because how fucking boring would that be? We couldn't
Yeah.
compare stories. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, when I first came into like AA meetings and stuff, and I looked around, and at the time, the meeting was a lot smaller than one I go to every day, and it was like everybody was like over the age of 60. I'm like, how the hell are they going to be able to relate to me? But you know, I looked at a
Yeah,
lot of the similarities, and I'm like, once I heard them out, I'm like, they were me, you know, 30 years ago.
right.
You know, it's like I'm getting sober actually, you know, at a pretty decent time actually, because I could, things could get a lot worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
look at
that
how you
old
can relate
lady
to
in the
people.
corner who's knitting, she used to
Yeah,
twerk on a
yeah,
wall
she twerked at one point.
50 years
forget
ago.
my mom's sponsor was like, I don't even know, almost 80 years old. She would tell stories and I would be like, what? Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
my brain couldn't compute that like this little 10-year-old lady
yeah.
was like like a drug lord in this like
Oh,
you know
I
what I
love
mean?
it.
I'd be like, what?
yeah, there's
But
that little
now
lady in my
people say
group.
that to me. They're like, I could never imagine you doing those things. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's recovery. That's
yeah, that's
that's the
Yeah.
exactly.
trick.
Made a transformation.
That's
Like there's a lady in my
that's
group that
right.
was saying, she's like, I used to model on like on Harleys back in the day. I was hot in bikinis and all this. I'm like, man, things have, I just, yeah, I can't see
I
it, but
can't see
cool.
it.
But cool. No offense. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I don't imagine you 40 years ago. So that's, you know,
I
but here
can't
we
see it.
are. We made a transformation. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do have a question for you, a final question. For somebody who is watching your episode and who is sober curious, or even like I was still using, but that's sober curious, right? Or they just
Yeah.
don't know what they're in early recovery, right? What would you say to them?
Just don't give up. Like, some people don't get it on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, a lot of those people don't get to make it back, but some of them do, and they become miracle stories. Like, I have a girlfriend who has tried to get sober countless times. I've pulled her out of motel rooms where she was, selling her body and all kinds of things. And I really thought for a long time that she was going to die. Like, I was convinced that I was going to find her dead somewhere, and it was not going to happen for her. She's sober today. She's a mom today. Like, it
Hey.
can happen. You just have to hold on for the miracle and don't give up before it happens. That's, I think, the most important part is just keep fucking trying. Keep getting up. Keep getting
Yep.
up. No
Yeah,
matter how many times you
keep
fall.
getting up.
What do
Yeah.
the words I see on your page, sober, not dead, what does that mean to you?
It means that I'm sober, but I can still have a fuck ton of fun. It doesn't mean that I'm boring. It doesn't mean that I don't live my life. I didn't get sober to like sit in a corner and read a book. Like, I got sober to get my life back, and get to go to Eagles games and get to do all these incredible things, travel the country with my friends. Like, I don't have to just sit in my house in New Jersey. I can go live a life and be
Have you
sober.
realized that doing all these things, like going to games, traveling, adventures, it's actually a lot more fun remembering it and being sober?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And you
noticing
don't
that
have to
too.
worry about the Uber costing $60 and
Oh
how
my
much money
God.
I need for drinks. And
You
it's
save so
so much
much money on
simpler.
alcohol. Yeah.
Percent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to see my first concert sober. I got to see The Weeknd. I'm a
Love
huge
that.
fan. And I was in the middle of the whole staircase by myself, just like literally grinding, but by myself. And I was sober. So, hey, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have remembered that. I would not have remembered that. If I were drinking, I would have blacked out and I wouldn't have remembered seeing his beautiful, glorious face.
Yeah. I have a video of me from the very end of my drinking. It was probably like 4 days before I got sober. I had left a friend's house. We were trashed, and I was driving my car, and I took a Snapchat video of me talking about, like, it's a video of me talking about how I shouldn't be driving my car. I just got into a fight with my friend's husband. Like, and it's me talking to, I guess, whoever was viewing my Snapchat story. Like,
Your
I don't know
followers.
why I was doing that, but I keep that on my phone as a reminder, like, so that it comes up every year. Cause I just like to remind myself that, like, I don't have to live that way anymore. Like, how exhausting of an existence is that to
Yeah.
constantly be
Literally.
fighting with people and worrying? Like, I could have killed somebody. Like,
Yeah.
the videos, like, in slow mo, like, I clearly should not have been behind the wheel of a car,
That would
and
have been evidence too.
Yeah.
yeah, right. Like, yeah,
It's amazing
it's
looking
just,
back
Well,
at
yeah.
it, how many bullets we dodged and how much trouble we could be in had we been caught on a lot of the time things that we did, It's like I got my one DUI and excessive DUI, but I was thinking back at like how many I should have and how many people I could have crashed into and killed, It's like I didn't.
yeah,
It's scary to think
God,
about. It's like now we don't have to
the
wake up
list goes on.
realizing we're risking those things.
it is scary. Every time I see like a DUI crash in the news where someone dies, I just like get this like guttural reaction to it because I obviously feel bad for the victim, but I also feel for the
Yes.
driver because I know,
Guilt.
that could have been me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they show their
Yeah.
mugshot, my heart, like I get a feeling too. And they're like, this person like was very intoxicated and killed this, whatever. And I see their mugshot and we get it. Like, it's almost like you just
Yeah.
look at
Like
their
the
eyes and you're like,
despair.
they're
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
and
that
it's like,
could be our
damn, we were
mugshot.
there.
Yeah.
My mugshot. Yeah. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary. Awesome.
It is.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here and being vulnerable and sharing everything with us.
Thank you
Really
guys for
appreciate
having
it.
me. I feel like you guys got some
Yeah.
stuff out of me that I don't usually talk about on podcasts.
We really
Hey.
appreciate it, though. I think everything you shared could, somebody, one of our listeners can probably relate. So do you want to shout out your Instagram so people could know where to find you and all that?
Yeah, I'm at Britt Bernard on every social platform.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you so
you.
much,
We
you
appreciate
guys.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. I had a blast. This was great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Of course.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.